Wait, no, come on, no, stop. Hello everybody, welcome once again to the Charlie West Wrestling Show. I am Charlie West, this is my esteemed co-host for today, Tom Thorne, and we're here to talk to you about the 10 things that we sometimes love and sometimes don't quite so love about the world of wrestling, past and future. Today we're going to be positive.
Yeah, positive. Positivity.
Yes,
the power of positivity.
I love being positive. The power of positivity is actually not on my list. What are we doing today?
We are doing the top 10 best promos, in our opinion, of course.
Yes, and for this I am thinking more about like one-off promos, so not things that they would say all the time.
Right, not catchphrases.
Yes.
Not catchphrases, like one-off promos.
Yes.
And I set my criteria on, like, what is the most memorable.
Yes. So for me, it's something where I feel like it did a job.
Yes.
Where it definitely made you feel something, and it made you feel the right things.
Right.
Potentially.
And it's something you can still, like, you know, you hear a couple words from that promo, you know exactly what it is.
Exactly. Well, it almost feels like a catchphrase because you know it word for word. Right. It's like, like things like, because when you think about things like, good God Almighty, he has broken his half, right? That was only ever uttered once. But you know it as a full-on thing. But that wouldn't be a promo for me.
To me, that would be more of a catchphrase.
Yes. But...
or, I mean, like Michael Cole's "Oh My," which would be a catchphrase.
Exactly. So, but we're looking at promos. I have tried to limit it to one promo per wrestler. I believe
I tried to do that, but there's one person who's on...
Yes.
Who's on my list twice, and then also has an honorable mention.
Fair enough. And also, I think before we start, I want to address the there are two types of promos that exist in this world. Mm-hmm. There is the work promo and the shoot promo.
Yes. Or the work to shoot promo.
Yes. And I feel that it's easy to pick all the shoot promos because it's just people saying what they think. You'd be like, yeah, I think that too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I actually have very little in the way of shoot promos or even work shoot promos on my list. I think a lot of these I think are much more the character being the character as opposed to the character using outside grievances to bolster their promo from how it affects people's reactions, which means there's going to be a couple of really famous promos that I don't have on my list.
Yes.
That being said, number 10 is a really famous promo that I do have on my list.
It is.
Yes. And this is a guy who... It's weird. I feel like he's like one of the best promos out there, but also isn't like one of the first people you go to, because I think you go to him more as one of the best wrestlers in the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Mm-hmm. And he has some great catchphrases. The limousine driving, free riding, that long
limousine riding, jet flying.
Which I believe began as a promo, but it was such a good promo, he used it all the time.
He just, it started on that it was like promo on Georgia Championship Wrestling or something, and he just ran with it.
I am going for when he won the Royal Rumble and became WWF champion. And with a tear in my eye, that promo.
That's a good one.
When he just, because you watch it, it feels real. It feels like Ric Flair, the person, is vindicating himself of like, I came to this company and said, I am the world champion. I am the real world champion, not you guys. And I've proved it. You've set up 29 of the best people you have in this company, and I knocked them all down. I didn't just knock them all down, I knocked them all down from number 3. I didn't come in at 30 and just get lucky with the number. I went through every main eventer in your company, and I'm still standing. Hulk Hogan, done. Sid Vicious, done. The Macho Man, done. They are all down. I am still standing. The WCW guy, the NWA guy, I am still standing. And I did it right now. Mm-hmm. And it feels real. It's one of the earliest real feeling promos.
Ric Flair was always really good at that.
Yes.
About putting the emotion behind the promo.
Yeah, I mean, one of his best promos, one of his last promos, the one where it was like, I'll never retire! Like that one that he did, like in the Shawn Michaels build-up. Mm-hmm. But no, with a tear in my eye promo, I think that's just a fantastic piece of like world building, like character building. It made you realize if you didn't know who Ric Flair was because you didn't watch the other channel, you know who Ric Flair was. He's a guy who came in and said, I am the best in the world, and I have bloody well proved it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Great promo. My number 10 is AJ Lee. Her version of the pipe bomb.
Is this the one that Paige came in afterwards?
No, this was before that.
Right.
So this was when there was a dip in the quality of women's wrestling, and before the women's revolution, so to speak.
Right.
And when they had their athletes, but they didn't let their athletes perform. The only one they really let like show physicality or show aggressiveness or technical skill was AJ Lee at the time. The rest were just, you can do that stuff, but you won't go on TV. We just want you to be pretty. Good old Johnny Ace booking right there. And basically that promo sticks with me because AJ Lee comes out and just calls it all out. She just calls out what everyone is thinking and does a very good job in her delivery. And I think sometimes that pipe bomb doesn't get the respect it deserves.
I can see that. It's a really good promo. It's when she just calls out the nature of the women's wrestlers and what they're not allowed to do, right? Yeah.
I mean, because I think this was after, like, Naomi was there. I think Cameron was there. The Bellas were there. But I think this was after the WrestleMania where...
Was this WrestleMania where she beat everybody? Like, they had like a 12...
No, this didn't happen at WrestleMania. This happened because that WrestleMania happened, and then
Paige was Paige, and that's what I'm thinking of.
No, so this was way before that. This was like when Total Divas was just becoming a show,
right.
And she was just calling out, it's like, hey, you guys aren't here because you're good wrestler. You're here because you're good looking, or you suck up to the right people.
Yes.
And, you know, I mean, fair enough, the Bella Twins are related to John Laurinaitis. There is nepotism there. And she calls it out.
Yeah. And it's a really good shout.
Yeah.
It's
and there was the longest time where
I'm annoyed I didn't think of it because I wanted to put a female promo on my list, but because they weren't given promos
for so long,
like I just can't think of it. Like I almost put like all the ranting that Asuka did during there's no crowd time when she just would come out and shout Japanese at people.
Asuka's wonderful.
It was a wonderful. It wasn't really a promo. That was just her being her.
I just want to put it on there. Just come out and dancing.
Yes.
Just dancing.
When she was on commentary. Just speaking Japanese on commentary.
We need to stop her. This is just going to be a how great is Asuka list.
True. Yeah. Okay. So number 9. Speaking about people that rant incoherently and you don't quite understand what the hell's going on. As much as number 9 and 8 suggest that I've not gone down this route, I really have gone for like promos that I think build a character and have like gravitas and weight behind them. But every now and again, there's something that's just so insane. But not only is it so insane, when the math checks out to the point where you're like, he can't have ad-libbed this because the math is insane and doesn't make sense. But it all works out. And either Scott Steiner is actually a mental arithmetic magician that can just be there and go like, right, 2/3 of 138, that would be 90, and just be able to do that just while making stuff up. Or he sat down somewhere, wrote that, rehearsed it, prepared it, and then prepared it in such a way where it sounds like he is just spouting wisdom from the gods, but that god is like Loki on drugs.
Yeah. Steiner math.
So Steiner math, yeah.
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 Yeah, what else can be said about that?
You remember it.
It's memorable. It sticks with you. Like, that first line, they say all men are created equal. Yes. But you look at me and you look at Samoa Joe, that obviously is not true.
Yeah, it's...
When you go one-on-one with another wrestler, you got a 50-50 chance of winning. When you get in the ring with me, and I'm a genetic freak, your chances go down.
It's brilliant.
They spell disaster for you as sacrifice.
Yes. Okay, number 9.
Number 9. My number 9, funny enough, is the person that promo was about. Or at least one of them.
Samoa Joe or Angle?
Samoa Joe. So, good old Samoa Joseph. His promo, when he was in the program with Brock Lesnar.
Is this where he tells Paul he's going to put him to sleep?
Yes. Right. The one where he's in the ring with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's doing his little spiel. And Joe just... Paul, like, he just calmly, the way he delivers is so cold, it just sticks with you. Paul, I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to put my arm around your neck, and you're going to go to sleep. And just the way he delivers it is just... And of course, Paul Heyman's one of the best on the mic in the business. His face, you could just see his face drop. Just like... His acting was amazing. So, just the entire... those two in the ring together, I think, was just...
No, I get that was a really, really good promo and build-up let down by a very simple match.
To me, the fact that he dropped the mic and they used the audio from the camera, it seems real.
Yeah.
And to me, that was the selling point of it. It seems real.
And also, I mean, Heyman being part of that, like being like, Heyman, you can talk yourself out of literally anything, but you're not talking yourself out of this.
Yeah. You're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
You're going to go to sleep.
Yeah. That's a really good shout. Yeah.
Yeah, and just the fact he didn't whisper it, but he didn't raise his voice.
Yes. Definitely. So number 8 is my what I would call my final wildcard round of something. And technically it's like a whole range of stuff this guy was doing. And it's weird because this guy is a guy that has the mic skills where he can be awful to listen to, but there are times when he is on it because he's a comedy wrestler and he does comedy stuff. And when his comedy is on point, it is some of the best stuff. It's all that wrestling should be. And when you can make Brock Lesnar, of all people, like break character and corpse and have to stop himself from laughing.
People in the house, what's up?
Yeah. So I'm specifically, if I have to pick a specific one, when R-Truth announces he's going to enter the Royal Rumble whilst Brock Lesnar is there, and then he's like going like, wait, you're going to be in it? I officially unannounced myself.
He comes in, it's like, I declare myself for the Royal Rumble, and I'm going to take you down, Paul Heyman. And Paul's like, I'm not in the Rumble, Brock Lesnar is. I unofficially undeclared for the Royal Rumble.
It's like to the point of like Brock actually lobbied to work with him more, right? Like Brock.
I wanted Brock to do a program with R-Truth.
Yes.
Like,
I mean, what we've seen recently is that with Brock Lesnar, with all the stuff he does, some of the best stuff I've seen him with is with R-Truth and with Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
When he's just having fun and being comedic.
And that happened in the past before. Like during his first run, he had bits where it's like, I'm going to be silly. And you could tell he was having fun with it. And it worked. It was great. Like he did this whole bit with Kurt Angle and getting milk everywhere.
Yes.
It's freaking hilarious.
It's brilliant. But no, R-Truth for me, I think, because I almost did R-Truth / Santino Marella of being like, these are two guys that their comedy hits about 25% of the time, but when it hits, it's fantastic and is everything that comedy wrestling should be.
Santino Marella has a special place in my heart just for the honky meter.
Yeah, the honky meter, yes, all of that.
The honky tonky man.
When he managed to turn face just by mispronouncing people's names on a regular basis.
John Chen.
Yeah. It's but R-Truth has just been doing it. His whole thing when he said like I'm gonna win the Money in the Bank ladder match, and it's like, you're not even in it.
What? Oh, my bad.
Yes. Brilliant.
Truth and Santino, they're what comedy wrestling should be.
Yes.
So, funny enough, my number 8 also has one of the people you mentioned who was laughing, Brock Lesnar, but it's one of the promos in the build of the Eddie Guerrero and Brock Lesnar championship match.
Okay, this is when Brock was champion, right?
Brock was champion, and
he didn't have Paul at this point, right?
No, it was just Brock. And he's doing a promo in the ring with Eddie Guerrero and starts talking about Eddie Guerrero's demons, his past struggles and stuff like that. And Eddie Guerrero just comes out and cuts a promo saying, it's like, I know where I've come from. And the thing is, I know what I have to lose. And that makes me more clear-headed than you could ever be. And of course, in that program, that's when Eddie Guerrero went on to win the WWE Championship. But just that promo, especially because Eddie Guerrero is one of my favorite wrestlers.
So it's Eddie's promo.
Eddie's promo. Right. It's Eddie's promo. And I always, Eddie Guerrero to me was always very, very good on the mic.
Yes.
And I feel people don't think that because he did have his catchphrases.
Yes.
But, like, to me, growing up in South Texas, I knew people who actually talked like that.
True.
So
I think it's also easy to say because, like, I know when I've talked about, like Owen Hart, who died too young, died too early, and I've said, like, I think Owen Hart would definitely become world champion, and people say, nah, no, do you see the trajectory he was on? Like, his career was going into mid-Carter for life at that point. Whereas Eddie Guerrero, I think, you look at it and it was like, we were about to get the 10-year main event
run.
Top part of Eddie Guerrero's career was about to happen, and then we never got it.
Yeah.
So what we got was great, but we were about to get greater.
Yeah.
And then we never did.
I definitely agree with that. And I feel like that promo to me was the start of that.
Right.
Because it was after that promo he won the championship, and that was like the stepping stone of like getting to that 10-year run.
And yeah, I think that's fair. Right, my number 7. This is the one promo I had that never happened in a wrestling ring or backstage as an interview. This happened in a studio, in a post Smackdown talk show. And this was on Talking Smack, and it's the Miz promo.
The Miz with Daniel Bryan.
Because here's what I talk about when we talk about like shoot and work. In that was a worked promo.
Yes.
That was all about his character. Nothing there was him doing winks to the camera, him talking. It was all, even though everything you look at that is real. Like he'd just done the pre-show Intercontinental match with Dolph Ziggler in front of literally no one because he hadn't opened the door, and then was being told by Daniel Bryan, like, your style isn't good enough. You just do simple moves. You're too scared to be safe.
Too scared.
And he was like, and then when he turns around and goes, I don't hurt myself. I don't have to do that stuff to get over. Look at you hiding behind your injury. You apparently say that you're fine. Well, if you're fine, quit. Go to an indie and do the wrestling. If you think that it's such a big thing, you can do that. You can do that right now. You've got the money. You've got the time. Quit and be an indie star. But you won't, will you? Because you don't want to do it.
And then he goes on, he's like, I have longevity because I play it safe.
Yeah.
I play it safe, so I want to have a career that lasts a long time.
Yes.
I want to be here forever. And that's why I'm going to submit my name.
And it's one of those things where, like, and I'm not going to poo-poo MJF's most recent promo as of this time, the one where he got fired for it, as it turns, and says, fuck off you, Mark. But there's a moment in that where he says, I don't have to drop people on my head and I'm still the most relevant people here. And I'm just like, that is, whether he knew it or not, that is shades of the Miz talking smack promo, that bit there. There are other parts of the MJF promo. That's it, and it might be on your list, it might not be. But there are elements of, like, when people say MJF is the Miz or vice versa, it's because they both do this thing where they can do what feels like a shoot, but it's their character. And when they get that opportunity to go off as their character, they can do amazing stuff that feels real, but also isn't causing heat or isn't causing backstage stuff, because it's the character of the Miz or the character of MJF, which we'll probably talk about later.
Probably.
Doing something.
Okay. My number 7. Again, one of my favorite wrestlers is Samoa Joe. So the Samoa Joe again. But it's the bit where Daniel Bryan, Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and Mustafa Ali are in the ring. And Joe walks down and just breaks down all of them. Just comes in, starts with Randy, gets to Ali, breaks down Jeff Hardy, breaks down Daniel Bryan, and then all he says to AJ Styles is, how's Wendy? And then it kicks off. Yeah. And it's just like, Samoa Joe to me is always just so crisp and clean on that microphone with a microphone in his hand. Yeah. And not only when he gets, that's just with the microphone in his hand. You get him in the ring, dude is amazing.
True. I think there's this sense of, like, when you get, like, those big guys that you feel like they should be brutes, because Keith Lee is in this thing of, like, and then when they speak and you're like, I don't know why I wouldn't think this to be happening, because it's obviously possible, but you're a really eloquent man.
Yeah.
And it's like, for whatever reason, the second that you look at a Keith Lee, the second that you look at a Samoa Joe, the second that you look at anyone that's built like that, you're like, I'm expecting you to just do Ultimate Warrior promos at me.
Or speak like Braun Strowman.
Yeah. And just go, rah! And the minute it's like, it's not just, oh, you know some long words. It's like, no, you're well spoken. Like,
very
you
well
are
spoken.
Eloquent. You are excellent. And him and Keith Lee both have that. Keith Lee hasn't got that promo that
he doesn't have
that memorable promo, but just every time he talks, you want to listen.
Right.
And Samoa Joe has that as well. Every time you talk, you want to listen. It's like, this man has something to say, and I'm here to listen to it.
Yeah. But I'm a huge Samoa Joe mark. I love Samoa Joe.
Okay.
As a fellow big man, it's nice to see.
So number 6 is the most recent promo on my list.
Oh.
Because it happened about a month ago. And when... I'm not going to talk about AEW versus WWE. I am going to talk about AEW versus WWE. One thought that I have with AEW and WWE is that every problem that WWE has, AEW has the exact opposite problem. That WWE will be like, your characters must do exactly this at all time. AEW's like, hey, you want to be a spaceman that goes yippee-ki-yay and wears a pig hat? Sure,
here's the hat.
We'll let you do that. Whatever else. And that happens also with promos and stuff, right? That, like, WWE scripts people too much. AEW doesn't like, say what you like.
Yeah.
And it sometimes gives you gold, and it sometimes gives you people that can't talk on the mic, not talking very well on the mic. Cody Rhodes, to me, was somebody who was given a bit too much free reign in the AEW to just talk and talk and talk without a point, without a thing of just being like, we're going to let you talk because you're Cody Rhodes, you're EVP, you're one of the biggest names, and you're a really good talker, so we're going to let you talk.
Right.
And it got a little bit old.
That it did.
His debut promo with WWE when he came back, it was clear that he had an idea, that idea has gone through other people, and it got streamlined for him to give the best promo of his career. When he was there, and again, that thing of like, it's the character, but also real, but it's the character. When he showed, this is my dad with the WWF Championship, and this photo was in our house, and I said like, Dad, you never told me you were champion. And he was like, well, I need to tell you about rules of WWF. You don't win the title on a countout. So I got screwed out of the title. I won my match for the WWF Championship by countout. I held that belt, but I was never given that belt. When him going like, my dream was to one day be able to pick up that belt and give it to him and say, here's your belt, here's the belt that you should have had, I've got it for you. And now I can't do that. Now it's not possible. Now the best that I can do is get that belt and just bring it to your graveside, like bring it to your tombstone. I've still done this for you. Like that thing, it's not just a promo, it sets up a story that if WWE don't go through with, that like, if you want to do that, like the idea like if a few years from now we can be saying like, that promo started Cody winning the belt from, let's say it's Reigns, changing the belt to the design of that time, and then having a video where you have him take that belt to the real graveside of his dad, and have him do a promo there. It's like, just say whatever the fuck you like. Right. Just say what you're going to say to your dad, and we're going to film it. And it just could be the arc of like one of the best wrestling stories ever. And that promo was everything that a promo should be. And I just think it was stunning. I mean, it might just be recency bias, but I just think that is, in the wake of a year that has had some really, really good and really, really good real promos, I think it's the best, even though I might have one above it on my list because of different reasons. But I just think it's one of the best promos that we've ever seen.
I definitely agree with that. Like his last promo in AEW and his first promo in WWE were just excellent. Both of them were. My number 6 is a WWE debut. And it's one with overtime has just always stuck with me. It's the Jericho Raw's War, like the Jericho debut.
Oh, Interrupting the Rock.
Interrupting the Rock.
Right.
Which to me, like, just shows like the faith they had in Jericho to be like, okay, here you go. Here's the microphone. You're gonna go out there with the Rock, one of the, best smack talkers in the game. Have at it. Show us what you got. And I think Jericho went out and knocked it out of the park.
Definitely. I mean, there's an argument that he did too well, right? Like he went too far.
Yeah, he went too far and made the Rock look like a chump.
Because you're there being like, no one can make the Rock speechless, right? Like in
no one except Chris Jericho.
In the history of the Rock, that and that one time when Cena was like, "That's a lovely tattoo you've got right there."
Oh, talking about the promo notes on the hand.
Yes, but no, yeah, I get that. That was a great promo.
Yeah, just the whole presentation of that, like, because that was the first time you saw the countdown, then the song hits, and just Jericho's just like on the stage doing his pose.
Yes.
It's great. I remember watching that live, and I was just like, I don't know who this guy is, but I want to see him do everything.
Yes.
I knew who he is. I watched WCW, so
but you didn't know who he was. Like, for all you knew at this time, it was going to be because it was going to be like Michael Babylon or something was going to come out.
Right, because I was watching WCW and I knew Chris Jericho was leaving because Chris Jericho's not on TV anymore.
Yeah, and
I was like, oh well, okay, well here's this new promo. They had this build up for like a couple weeks of like a countdown clock, and then had Y2J, and it's like, huh? And then saw him turn around and he had that weird haircut and everything, and it's like, oh fuck, it's Chris Jericho. This is great.
Yeah, because he wasn't, even when he left WCW, he wasn't that level, right?
No. He had a couple programs with Dean Malenko,
right?
But he hadn't got to that main event level.
Yeah,
he was kind of he hit the ceiling. WCW had a cruiserweight ceiling.
He wasn't doing promos with Hogan and Nash and Goldberg and then coming over and doing The Rock. Like, it was a step up.
It was a huge step up.
Yeah.
Like, just come on over and
we'll make you a star.
Basically
doing what they've done with Cody.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's great. That's a good shout. So my number 5 is, and my 5 and 6 flipped a lot because when I said that the last one was the best promo I've seen this year, this is the other one that is the competitor for that. And it is MJF, but it's not the shoot promo.
Not the shoot one? The one?
No, it's the one with CM Punk. The one where he said, I quit wrestling because you quit wrestling.
Yeah.
Like that one there. Because the MJF stuff, like, it's great, it's shooty, it's like working the marks, it's working this, it's doing that. But there was too much of that. Like, there was some really good stuff mixed with stuff, I'm dropping this in because it's a soundbite.
Yeah.
But that promo about Punk, about I was a wrestler, all I ever wanted to be was CM Punk, and then you just stopped coming to work. You just stopped. You just quit like that. Like wrestling was nothing to you. It's like, you were the guy. You're the guy I have the photo of me meeting you. You're the guy where I did, and it doesn't mean anything to you. You can just quit it on a day. Fine, I'll do that too. And then be like, wait, you know what? No, fuck you, CM Punk. Just because you're doing that, I'm not doing that. And it was this weird thing, because it was like in the same way that, like, again, I hate the idea that you have to always compare it to The Miz, but in the same way that The Miz's character is, the storyline of The Miz in his whole career is the most face storyline of any wrestler ever.
100%.
But he's a heel all the time.
Right.
Like, that promo for MJF was a face promo.
Yeah.
Everything about it was a face promo. It was this thing of like, I loved wrestling. I loved this. And you made me stop loving it until the point where I realized I don't need you to love this because I love this.
Yes.
But still he was a heel.
Right.
And it's really good. And I just feel that, like, when I look at what I've got on this list, and if you ignore the one comedy thing with R-Truth, nothing else from my list is from the past 5 years. And I've got 2 from this year.
Yeah.
There have been some great promos this year.
Yes.
And on another day, Cody's 5 and MJF is 6.
Yeah.
But for these, like... And for me, it's that MJF promo.
Right.
That MJF promo is the top promo that MJF has ever done. The most recent one
Completely
might be
agree.
like, oh, it's a pipe bomb, it's cool, it's whatever
Yeah.
else. But it's just, that was a real promo.
Yeah.
The other one was, say what you like and we're not going to script you.
Right. No, I definitely agree with that. We seem to be mirroring each other on participants in our promos in our list, because my number 5, and again, this is like something I come from, like, what is a memorable moment, and mine is the pipe bomb, the CM Punk's pipe bomb.
Yes.
So kind of mirroring yours with CM Punk and MJF. I'm doing just CM Punk and John Cena, but to me that is what's kickstarted one of the biggest stories in wrestling that kind of brought me back into wrestling.
Yes.
Because I wasn't watching wrestling at the time, and then, like, I followed CM Punk. I knew CM Punk was, like, always in the main event and stuff like that. And it was on major news networks that CM Punk got a mic and went off script on the ending of Raw, and they had to cut his mic. And the first thing I did was get online and see, I got to see this.
Yeah.
And just, and again, it's just him calling out the business.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
and
in hindsight, we know we knew it was a work.
And it's one of those things where we know, it's like, you keep talking until we cut your mic. We're going to cut your mic at some point, and you keep talking.
Right.
But,
in hindsight, we now know that it was a work.
yeah. We know that WWE didn't scramble to be like, Jesus Christ, he mentioned John Laurinaitis. John, we've got news for you. You're going to be on. You're
back on TV, bud.
You're going to be on TV for the next 7 months because he mentioned you in a promo we didn't plan.
I'm back, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, just because to me that's what brought me back into wrestling was CM Punk sitting on the mic, just wearing a Stone Cold Steve Austin T-shirt, yelling at John Cena, saying, calling out John Cena, which, late or mid noughties when John Cena was getting his rise. That's when I was getting out of wrestling because I'm like, I could see the writing on the wall. It's like, this is going to be the guy. I don't like this guy at the time. I'm going to back away from wrestling.
Yeah, I can see that.
But CM Punk's the guy who brought me back in. And, like, that promo, to me, I mean, because it kicked off the Money in the Bank match, which was,
one of the best matches of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it kicked off that Money in the Bank match.
Yeah.
And just CM Punk has that, holding the belt, kissing goodbye to Vince McMahon and running off. And it's like, it's bloody brilliant.
No, like I say, it's not on my list just because
it
has that, and it has that little bit of a, like, for my looking for the best of the best, it has that little bit of, like, the crutch of shoot. That, like, because when people say these things are great, there is a crutch involved in being a shoot promo. If you're able to say exactly what you think and what other people are thinking, it's automatically going to sound better because you're doing a thing that people are not allowed to do.
Right.
If people did those promos all the time, they would immediately become ruined and terrible. Which is what I think WCW did at one point, where everyone just got to say what they thought of Vince Russo and
or Vince Russo got on and talked about Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan
and it works.
Champion style, and you're going to get a championship, bro, sir, word.
In the same way, like, if every single week there was a Money in the Bank ladder match, it would suddenly not be special. Or a Royal Rumble.
Right.
If Monday Night Raw was just Monday Night Rumble.
That would be sad.
Yeah.
I want the Royal Rumble ruined.
Exactly.
I love the Royal Rumble.
My number 4. Said that, my number 4 is an absolutely shoot promo. But it's a different type of shoot promo.
Okay.
Because this isn't a shoot promo where it's like I'm working working an angle or I'm referencing stuff. This is just because it actually is the one time in my list that this was just real. And I almost didn't put it because it is a real speech as opposed to a promo, but it's such one that has stuck with me so much. It's Edge retiring. Like the Edge retirement speech, because it was just so out of nowhere. Like, even when they said, like, he's doing an announcement, and it's like, what could it be? And like, people say, like, it looks like he's retired. It's like, he can't be retired. We'd know. Like, he'd be injured. Like, whatever. He just did a match, and he's fine. He's going to the ring. It's like, got to retire. And this is it. And it was just like my favourite wrestler working at the time by a mile. And just saying, like, I can't do this anymore. And it's just absolutely real. Like, I see other people have done promos like that. You know, you could have had Daniel Bryan, the same thing. You could have had Edge's comeback promo for that. Ultimate Warrior with his Hall of Fame, like post Hall of Fame Raw speech. There's a lot, but Edge is the one where that hits for me. That's the wrestler where that is the one that hits for me. Other people, if you're a Daniel Bryan guy, you might do Daniel Bryan for exactly the same reason. And I think for the feeling of how sad I was that he was retiring, makes it more powerful than how happy I was that he came back.
Right.
So that's my...
I remember because we were watching the Rumble when he came back, and we both audibly like screamed, "Yes!"
5 o'clock in the morning.
Yes!
Yes.
Screw the neighbors.
Yeah.
Anyways, my number 4 is a rehash of one of yours. Is the Miz Talking Smack promo against Daniel Bryan.
Right.
The one we talked about previously on an episode of Talking Smack. The Miz going off on how, you know, because he wrestles his style, he's going to have a long career. Daniel Bryan, if you say you're okay, go to the bingo halls and the usual WWE. If you're not WWE, you're in the bingo hall.
It's that thing, 'cause it's that thing where you're like going, it's that thing of like, is it a work or is it a shoot? Because if it was a work, you would write it just like this. And if it was a shoot, you'd say it just like this.
Yeah.
And it wasn't referencing other stuff. It wasn't using outside, it was just what those two people would be.
Right.
And it linked to that history of like going back to NXT.
Right.
It's just so much like, for whatever reason, Daniel Bryan and The Miz have this 10-year rivalry that has just intertwined so much where it has no business ever intertwining.
No, it works.
So, number 3?
Number 3.
Right, number 3. Best promo of the 90s. This one here. 80s. Best promo of the 80s, 90s. I'm really bad when it comes to early WrestleManias when it became 1990 and when it became 1989. But of early WrestleManias, this is a promo guy. This is a guy where, like, you had people in that era that did incoherent promos, or that did promos that were always hitting the same thing. Like, when it came to the Macho Man, you honestly didn't know if someone just said, "Hey, there's a pen. I want you to do a 5-minute promo about this pen." Because he literally is sitting there with a cup of coffee, and he gives you a deconstruction of himself, of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, of wrestling, of everything, based around a cup of coffee. And you're there going, did you write this promo and then find yourself a cup of coffee so you had it? Or did you have a cup of coffee and you're just that damn good?
With the Macho Man, I think he's just that damn good.
That you can literally be like, this is what I do.
Out of the green of the crowd.
And it's just that thing of like, it's such a good promo. It is everything a promo should be. It builds up your match, it builds up your opponent, it builds up you, it makes everything seem like the most important thing that's about to happen to you is what you're about to do in the ring right now.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why the Macho Man is
Yeah.
one of the best wrestlers of all time.
There's a reason why, and the Macho Man, like, one of the best promos of all time. Like, people talk about, like, how well-spoken, like, your Roddy Pipers and your Jake the Snakes are, but Macho Man sounded like an Ultimate Warrior that made sense.
Yeah. He had like, the volume and the bravado of the Ultimate Warrior, but the silver tongue of Roddy Piper.
There was content to it. Like, it almost feels like proto-Bray Wyatt, like, the way that he sort of talks and acts, and it's just like the best promo. It's not the third best promo, but
third best promo. But you know, I smell what you're stepping in.
Yeah.
My number 3. Again, another rehash years. I have it up higher on my list because you see, when you have two lists, you can obviously see that they're created equal. That's obviously not true, because when you go one-on-one with another list, you got a 50% chance of winning.
What happens
my
if you bring in a third list?
you have a third list at the angle, your chances drastically go down. Because that best you have a 33 and a third chance of winning. But if you take my 1/3 to 2/3 chance, and plus your 1/3 chance, a 25% chance, I got a 96.6% chance of winning.
It's wonderful on every level. I had a feeling it was going to be high for you. I almost was like, he's not going to put this number 1, is he?
Almost was. I had my list and I had it on my phone. I was like, do I really want to? Like,
It's
because I want a promo that like sticks with you.
Exactly. It's the only promo in wrestling history where there is really, really good argument for making it the best promo of all time and the worst promo of all time. It can literally be argued.
But it's one of those things that every wrestling fan, like even people who didn't, because you didn't watch TNA.
No, exactly.
But you know the Steiner Math promo.
Yeah, it's one of the things that like if I was sitting here with Ozzy right now and I said number 9 was Steiner Math, he would probably be giving a whole range of very, very angry words as to why I would make that nonsense piece of shit in my top 10.
Well, he's an idiot because I have it as my number 3, and I'd like to see him say something like that to me.
Well, that's a video for later. Number 2?
Number 2.
Okay. So, my number 4 was the Edge retirement speech.
Yes.
And I think there is one retirement speech that succeeds even then. There's one retirement speech where you felt everything that was going on. You were there being like, I didn't know that was happening. This came out of the blue. It's like he's going home to see his boys. He's going home to see his little girl. He's like, Daddy's coming home. He's in his salmon jacket. He's ready to retire. John Cena comes out and it's like, yeah, you know what? Underrated wrestler. You should have been world champion. Whatever else. And then Mark Henry just
World's Strongest Slam.
And that kicked off the Hall of Pain. The best run of Mark Henry's career by a mile. That promo, it's everything. Like when you say like it's a swerve, bro, that's a swerve. That's a swerve right there.
That was
because
a swerve.
You didn't know that Mark Henry was going to do a promo. You didn't know he was retiring, but he was at an age and at a point in his career where it was like it makes sense. Yeah, maybe you're at least going off to the Indies or whatever else. And then the swerve on it, and it was just everything about it. You felt it. You felt every moment of that, and it's one of the best.
No, I definitely.
I mean, for me, it's the best purely written promo that isn't relying on any outside interference, any predetermined ideas of what other people think or what you have to do. Purely a moment in itself. You had no idea that was happening. That entire moment was created in its own
little bubble.
Yes, and it started and finished in that moment. That's 10 minutes that you don't need to watch anything else in wrestling.
Yeah.
You don't need to know who anyone else is.
Nope.
You just need to watch that, and that is a pure story in the space of 10 minutes, and I just think it's absolutely fantastic. People say how good it is, but it's better than people say it is.
I agree 100% on that. My number 2 is a retirement speech, but it's the Ric Flair post-WrestleMania retirement speech he did on Raw the next night.
Right.
Just Ric Flair just being in the ring, being Ric Flair, especially after that match, because it was after that WrestleMania match, which should have been Ric Flair's last match. If we just ignore the whole...
It's his last match.
It is his last match,
no other match happening. Ignoring what probably has maybe happened by the time this comes out.
Yeah, but that next night on Raw, he came out and...
There's a 50% chance that we're now talking about the late Ric Flair at this point, but...
yeah.
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, no.
Anyway.
Ric Flair would never die. But yeah, just that promo, he had that emotional match with Shawn Michaels the night before, and then comes out and just cuts a promo that's just as emotional.
Yeah.
And at the time, you're watching arguably the best wrestler of all time.
Yes.
Just
and as a
heart out.
WCW guy, would have been a guy that was much more close to your heart than...
My number 2 was... I had between Ric Flair... It was Ric Flair versus Ric Flair. It was either his retirement speech or his promo from the last ever Nitro.
Right, when he's asked Sting for how about we do one more match. Just for old time's
and
sake.
You have Sting and Flair as the final match.
Was that the last time they ever fought? Is that still the last... Or did they do one in TNA?
I don't think they did one in TNA. Flair only had like a handful of matches
and they were
in
mostly
TNA.
Hogan, weren't they?
They're mostly Hogan.
So his last match against Sting was that Nitro match?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Right. It's great, cool. Like I say, Flair, I think, is an underrated talker.
Mm-hmm.
Because every now and again he has those things of like that one there.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one where he talked about retirement, he says, I'm never going to retire.
Right.
And it kicks off the start of his retirement. And tear in my eye, which I have. He has some really, really good ones.
He's not just a bunch of catchphrases.
Yes.
He can cut a really good promo when he has to.
Yeah. Okay, honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions.
So, I have the one pure shoot promo that I decided to put in honorable mention. It almost snuck in at number 10, which was a Heyman at One Night Stand.
That one was so good. Oh, I still go back and watch that one.
And it's a really good promo. The reason why I didn't put it in my top 10 in the end was because it was just him saying what he thought. and he's a really good speaker, being given rein to...
Yeah, him just getting to say what he wanted to say.
And I think that the skill involved in creating a worked promo that hits you there is just higher than being like, you're a really good talker, go out and roast your own company.
I still always think about just him like the biggest burn of the night was him on JBL. It's like,
Yes.
the only reason you were WWE champion for a year is because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays. And
Exactly.
I
wanted
that's
to...
probably more true than we know.
Yes, and I wanted to mention it, but like I say, because it was pure shoot, those things are great in the moment. They're great watching back, but I just think there's an element more skill to the worked promo. The using what you have and using the storyline that you have. My other ones are Dusty Rhodes' Hard Times.
Ooh, nice.
Where it's like just a great promo about talking about everything that he goes through, being like, oh, you think I've gone through hard times? No, hard times is working.
Gone through hard times, baby.
Yeah, but hard times is working like 9 to 5 down the mines and then trying to feed your family and stuff like that. And it's just an eloquent. It's that thing of Dusty Rhodes being this man of the people, this working class, like schlub is a bad word, but like he sort of plays like this guy of like, if I'm here, then anyone can be here, but also eloquent. And I think it just like his character now bleeds into Cody's new character as well. Like there's just that element of, but it's a little bit ahead of my time. It's like I know it's a great promo, but it wasn't a promo that I watched live in 1985. Yeah, feeling that.
Right.
And the other one is Regal's promo on NXT ahead of fighting Cesaro. Ahead of his final match when he said like, I'm going to do this, and like, you know, I don't care how maybe I'm past my prime, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm going to give this everything. And again, it's that thing of like, was he just saying what he really thought because he knew he wasn't going to wrestle again, or was it saying what William Regal would say if William Regal knew he wasn't going to wrestle again?
Right. And
it's just that ultimate like best promo on NXT.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down. That one still sticks with me. So my honorable mentions, the first one, is the Ric Flair last Nitro promo that we talked about previously, about where he talks about Sting, let's do this one more time.
Yeah.
And like for me, I watched all of that last Nitro, like because I knew it was gonna be the last Nitro, and it sucked. Like it was really sad for me because like I grew up like
I could
in the South it was WCW.
I can see that like if WWE announced that it was going to do its last ever show in 2 weeks' time, all the lapsed fans would go and watch it, and they would feel something for it because it would be something special, no matter how bad anyone may think Raw is or is not at this point in time.
Right. And that promo still sticks with me. Just Flair, he opens the show, comes out, and it says, Sting, let's do this main event, last match on Nitro, let's do it together, and then they do that final match, and it was just
fair enough.
Like a bittersweet ending. The other honorable mention, the Brian Danielson, the American Dragon retirement speech when he had to when he was forced to retire.
So same reason for my age one.
Yeah, same reason for your age one. Came out of nowhere and just was like, oh man, this really sucks. Like, just impactful. And then I had trouble picking the third honorable mention, just because I couldn't decide on which one to go with. But I eventually settled on the same promo you had with MJF and CM Punk, where I quit wrestling because you quit wrestling promo. And MJF.
I will fight that that's the best promo MJF's ever done.
I will agree with that. Yeah. I will fight for you to agree with that.
That's good because I ain't getting very far.
No. But yeah, it shows the potential MJF's going to have. Like he's going to have a very successful career in this business.
And that promo shows to me that he can do WWE if he goes that way.
Yeah.
Like, he can't do that fuck you Mark promo.
No, can't do that.
But that one with Punk, that was pure script.
Mm-hmm.
And he could put that through a guy, and there was nothing there he couldn't say on WWE.
Right. And that's why I think, MJF's... He needs a world championship soon.
Yes.
It doesn't matter where. If he's got to go to freaking New Japan, just put
Triple A.
Let's not go that far.
No. So number one. So I think we might have the same number one. I don't know. I think if you don't have this one, it's because I think maybe it slipped your mind.
Okay.
That's my feeling here. Because basically at this point in the top 10, because from this moment and from this moment on, this is the moment where from this moment begins the moment that begins the genesis of HBK in Montreal. When Shawn Michaels was doing his stuff with Hulk Hogan, and he went to Montreal and he plays Bret Hart's music, and he was like, "I'm still your daddy, Montreal," and he gives his last great heel promo as Shawn Michaels, and it was everything.
He played Bret's Hart music twice, like did it once. I was like, oh, I almost had you. Yeah. And then starts like, it does again. Acts even more surprised.
It's that's why when Kevin Owens did it with the Stone Cold thing, and people were like, "You're just copying what AEW did." It's like Michaels did it in like 2004.
Right.
But no, that last great mini heel run of HBK and that one promo in Montreal, where everyone just the most nuclear heat just by talking and just by saying stuff, and just HBK was never the best on the mic, but for that day in that moment, he was the best in the world talking.
That's pretty
for
good.
one moment, one promo, he was the best in the world.
I agree with that. Pretty good moment. My number one is probably the most impactful for me. It was after King of the Ring, and this dude who only wore black trunks just beat Jake the Snake. King of the Ring. And then just cuts the infamous Austin 316 says, "I just kicked your ass."
Right, yeah.
That is the promo that kicked off the Attitude Era.
Yeah,
that's the promo that pretty much put started the process of killing WCW, because like I remember after that pay-per-view, the next day everyone in my school, because we all watched it, were like, Stone Cold is the greatest wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
I was in Texas, and Texas at the time was like WCW territory.
Yes.
And when that happened, that was just a switch. Everyone started watching WWF because you wanted to see what Stone Cold was going to do.
I always forget that I am the only wrestling fan on the planet that is like not all that into Stone Cold, because I wasn't there.
You weren't there.
I wasn't there from 95 to 99. It's just, that's my dark era. That's my black spot, 95 to 99.
That Stone Cold promo where he just...
Yeah.
Because it was when Jake the Snake was like doing his like... He was doing something like Bible related, like John 3:16.
Yes, he said, "You take your John 16 with Austin 3:16." Yeah.
Yeah. You know, John 16 says blah blah blah, but Austin 3:16 says, "I just whoop your ass."
Yeah, obviously, I imagine that 9 out of 10 people there who are over 30 years old are going to be saying that that's actually number one. And the fact that I don't even have it in my top 13 is a massive. That I don't have that or CM Punk's pipe bomb.
Yeah.
But for two different reasons. One, I get it. I get it, but I wasn't there for that moment. Like, I didn't watch the Attitude Era.
Right.
So it doesn't have that thing. Stone Cold Steve Austin, for me, is the guy that ruins crowds to this day because of a watch out. and it's annoying because everyone else has this, right? Every list we'll ever do where Stone Cold should be number one, I'm gonna not have him on my list,
right? Because you just don't get Stone Cold. It's like
we'll do like catchphrases one day, and I'm not gonna have 316 or any of those things. But no, obviously I get it. It's a massive promo. It's a massive tidal wave shift and whatever else. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Sorry, Steve.
Yeah.
But that's our top 10.
Yes.
So let us know what you think. Obviously, there are things there. There's things that you mentioned that I'm like, oh, that should have been in my top 10. But no, wait, my top 10 is full, and maybe vice versa.
I have the same thing. You mentioned. He's like, oh, that was a good one.
Yeah.
But
obviously,
I think today, I think fair enough. Like every promo we mentioned was a solid promo that you could argue could be in a top 20 or 50. I
think so. And I think that's a great thing. But anyway, let us know what you think. Let us know your comments. Tell us if you agree that MJF's I hate you because you made me quit wrestling promo is better than his big shoot bomb. Because I think so. You think so.
Right.
I'd like to know if that's a generally considered opinion. But anyhow,
comment between 1 and 10 where you have your Steiner Math promo.
Yeah! There might not be enough zeros for some people. Anyhow, thank you for watching once more. That's been our list. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.